Hello, YouTube family. How you doing? This is yours truly, Kofi Baraka. Right now, we're in KofiBaraka'sworld. This is episode 11, and it's titled "Chosen Ones." Gentrification is the new eradication. So, real quick, we're gonna do a prayer. God, thank you for this time. Thank you for all the blessings you have given us. Thank you for our children. Thank you for health, which is wealth. Thank you for our instinct. Thank you for giving us that clarity, giving us that straight portal of knowledge. We love you, we honor you, and we praise you. Amen. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. All right. So today we're talking about gentrification in terms of the urban community or the black community. So what's the definition of gentrification? Well, by Google, it's the process whereby the character of a poor urban area is changed by wealthier people moving in, improving housing and attracting new business, typically displacing current inhabitants in the process. All right. So first off, when they say that, even with the definition, you gotta think most of people moving, they usually move to middle class. They don't move to poor areas. Normally, you resort to poor areas, and even then, you make the best out of it. But when you usually go to a different neighborhood, it's usually middle class, or at least it was back in the day, and you have one prosperous black family that worked real hard, made a lot of sacrifices, and they'll move in. And when they move in, naturally you move out, which is called white flight. Afterwards, you take all the resources away. You stop street cleaning, you stop children programs, current events, you bring forth drugs, violence, sometimes prostitution, corner stores, and liquor stores. Then, when it's at its lowest, then you bring the absentee landlords, the slumlords. Then you have bandos, which is abandoned homes in the hood. Then you bring your poor white ass back to the hood because you can't make it in the white jungle called America. Now, this is some of the gentrification games that they play. Faulty mortgages, property tax rates in juxtaposition to whites or privilege. Usually the leasing office is issuing horrible annual leases or annual contracts. Whites desiring older black kings and queens residents to sell their property for dirt cheap, just scot-free. Also, new businesses which doesn't pertain to the black culture, like Starbucks, Panera Bread, Michael's, King Smoothies, start to pop in because they're catering for a whole different mass of culture, which is white people, and basically kicking you out. Even with sports organizations, like I said, I'm from Willingboro. So when Willingboro first started, it was completely white. And when you go to the old schools, you'll see certain rooms. It's like, why there's a squash room? Why there's a racket room? Why there's a place for fencing? Because that was the resources that was allotted at the time. Now you go to Willingboro because it's like 75 to 80% black, might be more than that. Basketball, football, track and field, baseball sometimes. And that's cool, but if you can't originally give us the resources and expose us early, then we don't want it at all. And here's like a history of gentrification that I came up with. So it's a couple of prosperous towns, cities, urban area settlements, which went through the same forms of gentrification, if not worse. Rosewood, Florida, Oscarville, Georgia, Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, Durham, North Carolina, and of course, the spotlight for today, Senaca Village. Now, Senaca Village, we used to always hear about something like that back in the day in Jersey, but I never knew exactly what they were talking about. It was usually older folks. Now, if you don't know what Senaca Village is, it's spelled Senaca, just in case you want to research it later. but it's a 19th century settlement of a large majority of African descent landowners. So this is the 1800s in the borough of Manhattan in New York City, which is present-day Central Park, 82nd to 89th Street. Basically, you're in the Upper West Side. So during this time, you had the Irish, who was considered like white niggers at the time. You watched the movie Gangs in New York. Dutch and blacks, they all lived together. So this was founded in 1825 by free blacks. So they weren't enslaved. And this is like the muckety muck of the blacks, basically. And in its prime, the community had 75% blacks, 225 residents, 2 schools, 3 churches, 3 cemeteries, 1 tavern, a large farmer's market, and a black haberdashery. So that means they made men clothing. And they also had a black milliner shop, which means they made women clothing as well. Usually milliner shops made children clothing. So basically, Seneca Village was very self-sufficient. The tavern, that was like the spot you go to, you get something to drink. Now think about this. They had 1 tavern. They got 3 churches, so it's probably an Irish church, or a Catholic church. It's probably a Dutch, whatever, and it's also a black church. You know what I mean? And it's just like, even with the cemeteries. But the farmer's market and the tavern, basically, that means that they still commune, they bought groceries and whatnot together, and also they party together. Also, one good thing about Seneca Village, too, in New York during this time, unless you were wealthy and you hid it in a closet, if you was a homosexual, you would normally live in Seneca Village because that was the only place of freedom. So I researched this. It was like in college, and they talked about it in books in terms of basically everyone was accepted in Seneca Village: black, Irish, Dutch, gay, etc., etc. All right. So by 1857, all the inhabitants basically was evicted. What happened was, in New York during that time, they needed some type of park. And basically Seneca Village was the third option, but the first 2 options, it was a lot of wealthy white people that lived there, a lot of wealthy families like the Joneses and the Scarboroughs or the Scottboroughs and things of that sort, is however you want to pronounce it. They lived in these areas and they still prosperous to this day, and they still prosper to this day. But the thing I want to say is, like, what if Seneca Village, what if they were able to prosper and not, be taken out or evicted off their lands? So basically, let me tell you the rest of the story. So by 1857, all the inhabitants was evicted. They were physically forced out or off their properties at night and day, until all the black inhabitants were either shot, some were either hanged, placed in adoption, so that was the children, jailed, hospitalized, that means some of them might win a half and half. Also, while their property was razed basically means either they're dismantling the property, taking it piece by piece, or they burning it down. And just in case, to show proof, here's a brother right here who's also from Seneca Village. And this is one of the churches. And it wasn't no small church either. This church is pretty huge. And this brother, he looked like the brother and the minister from Saints and Sinners. like this is this nigga in the 1800s, yo. If I'm lying, yo, the one with the hair, and he just said he was black, I wouldn't be surprised, yo. I would not be surprised, but basically, we really lived there. You know what I mean? And my solution would be, for any property that we have, unless you really want to move, fight or die for your property. You know what I mean? No lowballing, no selling, and keep your paperwork in order if you can. You know, this is our land, this is our country, this is our world, this is our universe, and this is our metaverse. Wakanda. I'm joking. But no, man, it's just like, yeah, it's just like we can't settle no more, man. It's either all or nothing. Because when you work and save that money, it's all or nothing. When you make those sacrifices and you can't get the Jordan 12, 13 that you want, or you can't get the Chanel fragrance, or you can't get the bag you want, or you can't get the car you want because you're sacrificing and making sure everything's cool and aligned, then when we get our rewards, you know what I mean, like Dreamland, the movie theater that was in Black Wall Street, or any other those places, or the racetrack derby that was in Oscarville, those things are gone. But what if they were still here? What if you can go there and work? How big would it have been? Would it have been bigger than NASCAR? It's just, these are some of the things I want you to think. Even Seneca Village, those streets, that's Park Avenue now. But that was our Park Avenue. All right. So this is the end of another episode. Naturally, you can like my videos and you will get all my other wonderful videos as well. You could do a nice binge, smoke a little something, maybe drink a little something, and enjoy the show. Of course, do it responsibly. Also, subscribe to the channel, and also you can share and download the videos. You know what I mean? Give me a credible, decent comment. And as always, I love you, kings and queens. Also, remember, tonight we got the Lions portal, the Lions Gate portal opening right now, which means spirituality and materialism. If you're going through a lot of struggle, chosen ones, this is the day. In the next 2 days, you will see big benefits in terms of money coming from different places, checks coming from different places, resources coming from different places, you know, businesses prospering, you know, hustles going from one level and quadrupling, you know what I mean, meeting people that have resources, miraculous things occurring, stress getting off your back, and really living a brand new life for like the next, until like 2028. So whatever path and whatever stride you're hitting, from now to 2028 is definitely your time. So make sure during this time you save for the 29s and the 30s and 31s and 32s, because it might not be as favorable. It depends on how much you sacrifice and do now during this time. And let me see, peace and strength. And remember, we're number one, our God is number one, and the journey is not done. Keep your third eye open. Peace.